And we're live. So, welcome to another live show. I hope everybody is doing great. I hope you're having a great time. I hope everybody's healthy. And I hope for sure that everybody's training for your upcoming Ironman races. I hope you're swimming. If not, get your ass to the pool. Let me get the chat started. And then we're going to get going with today's topic. So, today we are talking about tapering. Okay, tapering for your Ironman competition. I'm referring to just the swimming part. The entire training is up to you or to your triathlon coach. I'm just an expert for the swimming, and I'm going to let you know how to taper today. If you are a hardcore fan, you notice that I switched up the order of events just a little bit because I think we should be talking about tapering first before we start talking about putting it all together. Okay, so the really organized and crystal clear people, please forgive me for changing up the order of events, but you're going to see in just a second it's going to make more sense. Other than that, before we get started, today I actually will be using a slide or a presentation that is available within my membership. I have a 4-week taper program available in there to get our athletes ready and headed into the right direction when they go into the competition. So this slide that we will be switching over shortly is straight out of that membership. Okay, with that being out of the way, once again, introduction. Who is that guy? My name is Jan. Won international medals in pool and open water swimming, broke some German records, won some medals at German nationals. I was an All-American in the 1500 freestyle for the Florida Gators. And I coached Sebi Kienle in swimming from 2012 to 2015. So when he won his title in Kona, I coached Andreas Waschburger to his world record in English Channel this past summer. And I've been coaching elite swimmers from youth level to German elite and to some international appearances and medals also for the better part of, it's been about 10 years on and off. And I'm here to help you figure out distance freestyle swimming for your triathlon. And on this channel, we are going live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. We are going to be live on this Thursday and then next Tuesday. And then we are wrapping up this series where I tried my very hardest to get you up to pace and help you what you need to do in order to put together a great swimming program. And after that, the week after, this coming week, we may be going once a week live and then adding a regular YouTube video on top of that. But I'm planning to keep this rhythm going where I'm going to be on YouTube twice per week. Okay, just so you're up to date with that. As always, my idea is to make it easier to understand for you. I always say that I'm not here to impress anybody with big terminology or making it super complicated. I feel very certain that I know what I'm talking about, and I think it makes the most sense to get it across to you in a way that you can understand it also. Okay, this is what we covered up to this point. Just how to improve and to reach your goals in swimming, most important factors for long distance swimming, the 5 pillars of distance freestyle training, that being, of course, aerobic interval training, aerobic long swims, strength sets, lactate, threshold sets, and short rest sets. Those are, in my opinion, the 5 most important things that you should implement in your swim training. Last week, we talked about dryland training and strength training. And this time, we're talking about tapering and getting ready to race. And then finally, next week on Tuesday, this may take a little bit longer. Next Tuesday, we're trying to figure out what do you need to do to put it all together if you want to do it by yourself. Or, of course, if you want help, always hit me up. Okay, and now we're switching over to this guy, where we are looking at the presentation out of the membership. Again, this is not very long. This is just straight to the point. And usually what you're going to see here is me in a little circle talking and explaining everything to you. And this time not. Ali Gun is here. Good evening. Thanks for being here again. And yeah, let's hop right into it. As always, starting out very basic, I want to talk about what is the point of tapering. And this is a topic that is very important. And I think this is a topic that even very, very high level athletes struggle with. And the point of tapering is getting the body ready to perform at its peak. Resting the body, fine-tuning the body leading up to the main competition. Challenge is finding the right balance between being rested and staying fit. Okay, but that being said, we're going to find out later that taper is a very, very individual thing and everybody's a little bit different. So that's why this thing right here, getting the body ready to perform at its peak, is the main thing that we're after. And it is very important that you monitor what you're doing when you're tapering, because you have to try. Sometimes it takes a few attempts to figure out what your body really needs. Or in other words, it takes a few attempts or a few programs to try to figure out what you need to do to actually feel the best on race day. And this is really what it's all about. Very simple. You cannot just do a standard taper for everybody and expect it to work. Usually you need to try a few things out. Sometimes there are people who don't need to taper at all. They do maybe 1 or 2 days easy. It's called a drop taper and they're going to do just fine. Okay. So what is included during a taper? Generally, general rule of thumb, it's a reduction of training volume and a partial increase in intensity. Okay. It is getting used to race equipment and your race setup. This is a big one. This is important, especially for all of our triathletes out there. If you have never tried your wetsuit and you're going to use it for the first time in competition, you're probably setting yourself up for a bad surprise on race day. So please don't be that girl or guy. Usually lots of pace or faster than pace work. I mean, just real quick, the general idea is that within a seasonal micro or macro cycle, you are building up your aerobic capacity, you're building up your strength, you're laying the foundation. And then when it comes time to race, let's say 4 weeks out, 6 weeks out, you are fine-tuning your body with the last things it needs. It's like lactate tolerance, getting used to the actual race pace, and all that good stuff. And now, legit question, why are we not doing this stuff all season long? Yeah, it kind of sounds reasonable, but I think a lot of people underestimate how big and how important a aerobic base really is for your performance when you do endurance sports. And I think lots of people fool themselves. I mean, I was one of those guys when I was a swimmer. When I was a swimmer, I was very serious and was actually very good. But I did some triathlons as an age grouper. I did usually 70.3s. And my classic thing would be I would do a pretty hard bike ride. And then I would do the brick. Is that what it's called? The brick run right after. I would always do a 5K. And I would run like a 350 kilometer pace. I would come home, feel super easy, and I'm like, I got this. This is easy. I can easily hold this for 20K. And it never happened. I always blew up. Why? Because I never did the long runs. I never laid the foundation. Should I have known that stuff? Obviously, but what can I say? It is what it is, as they said. I was not as good, not even close as a triathlete as when I was a swimmer, and I was nowhere near as serious. I was just doing it for fun, and yeah, I lied to myself by doing these brick runs and thinking that I'm ready, and I really was never ready. Okay, and in swimming, please don't do that. Learn from those mistakes. Make sure you have a good foundation, and the foundation is always key. Always key. Okay, and then anything that makes the athlete feel good or happy. This is very important. A happy athlete is a fast athlete. Okay, especially for my young swimmers, this is especially true. Happy athletes are fast athletes. Okay, if they're sad, depressed, worried, all that stuff is not good. You want to have fun. Getting ready and working hard is not always fun. I mean, we all know that. We need to put in the work to be good. But once the taper time comes, I think we should be hearing and seeing lots of smiles and laughing. Okay, you should be feeling good when you approach your race. And that's also a sign, if you're a coach, that your taper is going well. It usually gets louder. There's a lot more energy in the room. The kids are generally, way more energized. And you need to have that in order to perform well. Okay, and you need to be building confidence. My example again, you can do those brick runs. This was false confidence in my case, but at least it was confidence. And what I'm talking about is usually do some pace stuff, pacing sets. Do these with your racing setup, with your racing suits, ideally an older suit. And this way you can really build up some confidence and know that you're on the right track. Okay, why is taper very difficult to master? And I think most coaches would agree that the taper is the most challenging part of preparing an athlete. And why is that? I think it's because it is very, very tricky to prepare, especially a swim team, for a swimming competition. Because you have, let's say, a 16-year-old girl who, as soon as she drops volume, looks good in a 50 in practice, and you think, oh, this is going to go fantastic. And then once the race goes and they swim, let's say, 200 or 400 freestyle, after the first half of the race, it's all over. Okay, and if you just need to watch that stuff. If you know this is what happens, then you need to adjust, and you do not taper these type of athletes as much as the others. So in tapering, you really need to start to separate people in different groups. If everybody does the same, some will do good and some will do absolutely terrible. Okay, it's a very individual topic, and nearly every person responds differently. Therefore, a lot of experience is necessary, lots of trial and error. This is, I think, very important. If something did not work, I can only encourage Ralph. Hi, thanks for being here. You need to adjust. If things didn't work, you need to absolutely change things up and correct it and try again. If you have a network of people, other coaches, talk about it. Okay, get help, talk about it. If something is going really badly, ask, hey, what do you do with your athletes? How much are you tapering? What are your general taper sets? How do you approach it? It never hurts to ask. If you ask, the worst thing they can say is F off and figure it out yourself. From my experience, I never got that answer ever from anybody. Okay. Usually people are very happy to share what they're doing with their athletes. And I don't know why, but lots of people don't ask. Okay, just ask. People are usually happy to share information. There's one example, just yesterday, I wrote one of our former great 200 butterfly swimmers, Franziska Henke, about some 200 butterfly sets that she used to do back in the day, because I now have a young 200 butterfly female swimmer with great potential. And just asked her. Because why did I ask her? Because she probably knows better than I am. And that doesn't hurt my ego or whatever to say that. This is the fastest 200 butterflyer to this date that we had in Germany. I think she's still a German record holder. Won medals at the World Championships. I would be stupid not to ask. Okay, I feel fairly confident with long distance freestyle stuff. I'm by no means the best in the world there either. So again, I told you in the past that I asked Anthony Nesty, for example, who I think is amazing. And I just think you need to get over it. You know, if you run around all the time and think you're the best at everything, probably not the best approach. So ask for opinion of other people if you're unsure and you think you need help. A must-have is the courage to experiment and do not change a working system. Yeah, that's also important. If you found out what works for you, do not change it. Also pretty logical. If you have found something, a preparation that works for you, do not change it. Don't get greedy. Okay? Some people get greedy. I was one of those guys. Always want to get better and better and better. If you always feel great, I would not change it. I would maybe change the sets just a little bit, but I would keep the volume very similar. I would keep the main sets, the distance or the length from competition date to the last how do I say this? To the last important swim sets the same. So let's say your last lactate threshold sets is always 6 days out of your competition. I would not change it to 8. Why would you? If it's been working in the past, keep it the same. Okay, basically pretty common stuff, but I figure I share it with you. Getting the body to perform at its peak. Being well rested is key. Okay, the second line here from this presentation is one that I got from Sebastian Kienle. He always used to say, it's better to be 90% fit and 100% rested than 100% fit and 90% rested. Okay, and I'll tell you a story about that in a second. So the story here is he said that in the 2014 season when he won Kona. And like I said, I was working pretty closely with him back in the day. And he told me how little he ran that season because he was always in deep trouble with his Achilles tendon. And I think he mentioned he maybe ran on average like 30 to 35K a week. And he won the Ironman World Championship Pro race in Kona with that approach. And he said that while panicking in the moment, he said it was probably a good thing in disguise because he was maybe not 100% fit, but he was 100% rested when he was at the starting line. And that takes courage, especially if you're the athlete out there. It takes courage because we all tend to think that we get out of shape. And that is always the main thing. It's also a main thing with swimmers. You have to understand that when you taper, the feeling that you have in your body is going to change, obviously, because you're doing something else than what you've been doing all year. You're basically hammering your body all year. You're shaping it, you're training it, you're going hard. And all of a sudden you give it more time to rest. Or you give it more rest in general. Obviously, the feeling in your body is going to change. You know, the processes in your body are going to change. Everything's going to change. It's also very, very important to take your vitamins and sleep properly because this is usually a time when the body tends to get sick because it thinks the stress is going down and it thinks, oh, finally a little bit less stress. Now I can heal myself. That's why a lot of people get sick when it's taper time. Okay, so also something that you need to keep in mind. When it's taper time, it's extra important to get sleep. Sleep is crucial. Very, very, very important. Especially for you guys who are doing Ironman races. I would start to get my sleep in order 4 weeks out of the race, the very latest. Because if you're honest to yourself, on the race day, you're probably not going to sleep much at all. The race starts at 6:30, so you have to get up at 4. You have to get to the starting line. Lots of stress in the morning. Probably nervousness the night before. So realistically, you're probably looking at 4 hours of sleep. If I know that's what's waiting for me, I would want to have my sleeping bank as full as possible. How do you get it full? Here I can always quote Greg Troy, our head coach at the University of Florida back in the day. He always said, was talking about a bank, put as much sleep in the sleeping bank as you can. And he always said the hours before midnight count double. Okay, so he always said the hours before midnight count double. They are the most valuable of all of them. So don't watch movies until midnight. If my swimmers are watching, which I highly doubt they are, but if they are, do not play Fortnite until 3 in the morning. It's a waste of time. Don't do it. Go to bed and sleep. Ideally 9:30 p.m., 10 p.m., something like that. And also set your alarm clock in a way that you're getting used to being awake and ready to go when your race is starting. Okay? Hydrate, sleep, stretch, reduce stress in training. Do not underestimate the power of the mind. Visualize good things. Okay, see yourself performing well. You've put in the work. Now visualize yourself how the race is going to go. It's going to go well. I'm going to show what I trained for. I will be ready when things get tough. That's what I trained for. That's what when everybody was on the couch, when it was raining, when I did those long runs, when it was cold and it was still dark out and I went and got my swims done and all of that stuff. think about that stuff. Okay, visualize. If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. It's one of my favorite quotes by Benjamin Franklin. Again, keep that in mind also. Back to resting the body. Sleep is the single most important factor in recovery. Hydration and refueling at the right time is the next important thing. Hydration is also a thing that's majorly overlooked in my opinion. You need to make sure that you're always well hydrated. And stay off your legs. Again, something from the University of Florida, stay off your legs. Avoid unnecessary long walks. Take the car. Don't go out at all. Rest. Just stay off your legs and rest. The legs are big muscles and they make you tired the most. Reduce stress wherever possible. If you have a stressful job, try to get the work out of the way. Try not to have a big project due the week before you start Ironman Frankfurt, for example. If that's at all up to you, of course. If it's not up to you, you need to make the best out of the situation. If you can plan it, plan ahead of time. Add a little bit of extra stretching, maybe massages to feel better. One thing about massages that you have to keep in mind, a massage will also change the feeling in your body. Okay, so it's a very bad idea. Let's come up with one of the dumbest things you can do. There's always an expo on those big Ironman events. Let's say you never had a massage in your life and you walk around this expo and you think, oh man, a massage, that sounds good. Probably one of the dumbest things you can do. Because if you get this massage a little bit too hard, you're gonna get sore. You're actually gonna have sore muscles. And that's the last thing you want before the most important day training-wise of your season. So please don't make that mistake. Next up is fine-tuning the body for competition. This is now more what we are going to do in training. Two general approaches. The volume stays, the intensity drops, or the volume drops, volume stays and intensity drops, or volume drops and intensity rises. You can test both. I was talking about the example earlier with the swimmers who don't react well, or other way, who really get stressed a lot when the feeling in the body changes a lot. Okay, if you're one of those people that when the training volume goes from 4K per session to 2K or 1.5K, then you should more lean towards the first approach. You keep your volume the same, but you drop the intensity. Now, how can you do that? If you normally do a 5K or 4K session and the main set, your aerobic interval set makes up 2K, so 50% of that session, you drop that main set down to 400 meters. Okay, so 10% of that session. Very, very small, just going through your motions, get a little bit of blood flowing, plenty. The rest, you use your fins, you pull a lot, slow, steady, low intensity swimming, works fine. Okay, this way you don't have to do much, you don't have to tweak your volume much. You get your taper in by basically cutting out the intensity. Still need to do some intensity, cannot just go easy. Okay, that's important. Okay, or you're dropping the volume and you basically keep the intensity a little bit higher. That's also an issue. You can also do that. If you drop the volume considerably, if you only swim 1.5K, you can go a little bit harder in that 1.5K and it's going to work fine also. The overall training load goes down, obviously. More rest leads to higher race-related pace in training. That's what I was talking about earlier. We're looking at the specifics now. We're doing more race-related stuff, more race pace-related stuff. And this generally works well and it feels a little bit easier because your body is more rested. Okay. We're incorporating lactate threshold work into our training in this period, and we're doing race-related stuff. For swimmers, we're putting a little bit more focus on turns, starts, etc. And we have a little bit more time, obviously. Like right now, we're in a little bit of a taper with my swimmers, so if they have a little bit extra time, they may do a few starts, a few turns. You have it. Okay, we're not really going down that much, but generally, For swim training, normally they swim 2 hours, my swimmers, sometimes even 2 hours and 30. In the week leading up to the biggest competition of the year, a swim session takes 45 to 50 minutes, if that. Okay, and then if you're unsure, you may as well do 1 or 2 starts. Now, don't do 30 starts, because then you're going to get sore again, but you can fine-tune a few things. Same with your triathlon swimming. Okay, and then finding the balance, in my opinion, we will never be 100% perfectly prepared. I think getting this into your head will help you a lot because it reduces stress for all of us who are always looking for perfection. I don't think you will ever get perfection in a taper. And find peace with that. The mind makes it all work. I think it is very, very important to be mentally ready, especially mentally ready for whatever comes on race day. It will never go as planned. I think that's something that we have to accept. We have to be ready, and those who deal better with that situation when the race day comes and when the competition comes will get the good results. Again, quote from Greg Troy, at the end of the day, on the main competition, let's say the World Championships, Olympics, or in your case, your main Ironman of the season, the performance you will get is 80% mental and only 20% physical. Okay, that sounds extreme. And back in the day when I first heard it, I thought this man has to be crazy. But there's a lot of truth to that because you've put in the work. The work is there. Okay? But actually winning a race and performing to your fullest ability is crazy how much mental effort that takes and how much you really have to believe in yourself and how much you really have to be here ready for that. I've seen this all the time with swimmers who are looking absolutely amazing in training. They go to competition and they fall apart. There's no logical explanation for this whatsoever. It's all mental. It's bad thoughts, it's worrying, it's all that kind of stuff. And some nations have less of that problems than others. I think we in Germany, I don't know why that is. We tend to worry a little bit more. Maybe that's our culture, whatever. I think Germans generally tend to have a little bit more issues with that. On the other hand, people from the United States tend to be fine. I mean, I've seen it while I was in the United States for my college days. They just deal with pressure and stress better. I don't know why that is. I cannot explain it, but it's just what I've seen. But if you know that, you can work on it. You can prepare for it. Sometimes it helps when you feel that the nerves are coming. This is usually within the race week. Take some time. I don't know how much you need. Go on a short walk. Even though I said you need to rest your legs, go on a short walk, find some peace, sit down, and really zoom out and calm down and think about what is going to happen. You're going to do a race, yes. You put a lot of time in it, yes. You really want to do well, yes. Understand all of that. Is there pressure? Absolutely. Did you invest money? Yes. Pressure rises again. But then ask yourself, why are you doing this in the first place? Okay, you started with triathlon or with swimming because you enjoy doing it. Okay? And then ask yourself, do these thoughts that you have there really help you on race day? Or ask yourself in another way, is it more likely they are going to hinder my performance or help my performance? If I sit there on the start, it's like, oh my God, I hope my wetsuit doesn't flood. Oh my God, I hope I don't get a flat tire. Oh my God, what if I die on the run? You know, these are the classical things that go through people's mind. And ask yourself, is this really beneficial? Not really. Why do you worry about something that didn't even happen yet? You have plenty of time to worry about when the time comes. Okay, it is tough because I've been there. We all tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I think in the heat of the moment you don't do this, but take some time, go on a short walk. If you want to talk about it with somebody, go do that. If you want to do it by yourself, take your time, sit down, zoom out, and really think about what you're doing. And is it really the right approach to panic? And I can tell you it's not. The sun is going to come up the next day, no matter if your race went well or it didn't go well. So having the right thoughts in your mind are crucial. Okay? Put the emphasis on feeling great on race day. Again, I said this before, if you feel good on race day, the likelihood that you have positive thoughts in your mind are going to vastly increase. Guacamole, I'm going to get to your question in just a second. Thanks for posting one. Okay, and this can mean vastly different approaches for different athletes. I mean, back on feeling great on race day, but we talked about this prior. Know yourself, okay? Basically, write this stuff down and really learn from the past. Okay, if you felt amazing, fine. Use that approach in the future. If you didn't feel well, think about what you've done and what you can do differently. Okay, and that's the end of the preparation and of the presentation. And now I'm going to ask questions. So Guacamole asked, should I focus as a beginner only on technique or do 25 sprints to improve in swimming? Thanks for the question. As a beginner, you should be thinking about learning as a priority over training. Okay, so learning is more important than training. By learning, I mean learning how to swim, learning the technique, understanding the technique. If you have not signed up for my free week of training, head over to swimazinguniversity.com, sign up for free and check it out. I put a lot of work in that. I would argue that this is probably one of the biggest freebie that you can find on the internet, and it costs you nothing, no payment details, no nothing. You don't even have to sign up for my newsletter, even though I suggest you do, because you get 10% on future training offers if you choose to do so. But check it out. I put a lot of work into the Freestyle 101 course, where I'm explaining you how to swim freestyle. You get a free week of training, you get some equipment suggestions so you don't buy shit goggles and bad equipment. And at the end of the day, what I tell you is good stuff. Okay, do that. 25 meter sprints. I don't know if I would do a lot of sprinting in the beginning, to be honest with you. Probably not. I think 25s in general is good. So very short increments are good. But sprinting, I don't know. Probably not. Probably better to focus on technique, do a few easy to implement drills, and you're going to be fine. David is saying, good evening, I'm late, need to rewind. No worries, you can do that. I think it was a pretty good one today. And if you have questions, let me know. I have a little bit of a dry throat today. I don't know what this is. Keep having a little bit of a sore throat when I wake up these days. And it's affecting me today also, but no need to worry. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be fine. Okay, just join for the last slide. I guess I 100% agree. Of course, we invest a lot of time, money, but we do the stuff because we love the sport. So enjoy and praise the race day. Exactly. Perfectly well said. This is what it's all about. And embracing that sport. I mean, if you pick triathlon and if you pick Ironman triathlon, you should also embrace pain. You are signing up for pain. I mean, let's be honest. If you want to race for, I don't know how good you are, 8 hours to 14 hours, there is going to be a lot of pain in that. And embrace the pain also. I mean, some people like pain. I mean, I used to like pain when I was swimming distance freestyle. It makes you feel alive. And also one of the coolest feelings ever, and I miss that feeling so much, is when you do a very, very tough training session. You're in a lot of pain, you're struggling, and you're like, oh my God. And then you touch the wall, and instantly it's gone. Who can relate to that? You think, oh my God, how am I going to possibly get through that swim set? And it's like, oh, it's the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. You think you're going to die. You touch the wall at the end, and it's gone. And it's relief, and you're proud of yourself. You've done the swim set. You're hot. You're almost sweating in the water. And it's a feeling I miss so much from back in the day of being an active swimmer. It's one of the greatest feelings ever, I think, when it's a mix of being proud of yourself for pushing through. It's a relief that the pain is stopping. It's looking in your teammates' faces. You see the same relief. You talk about the set and training is over. It was such a fun time. I really miss that. So when I learn some stuff and go to training, should I do technical drills? And what else if not sprints, only technical stuff or slow 100-meter reps? Well, the thing is, honestly, I have not done a beginner's guide yet. I seem to be getting a lot of beginner's questions, so maybe I have to do that. But the way I would structure a beginner's freestyle course is I would be keeping the increments that you do pure freestyle swimming. And by pure freestyle swimming, I mean swimming without the help of equipment. I would keep that to very short distances with a lot of rest. And the reasoning for that is I want you to learn freestyle the right way and automate the right movements in your brain. I think by far the worst thing you can do is what probably most people are doing. They swim freestyle as far as they can possibly go until they fall apart and then they stop. And maybe then they go again. Logically, what happens there, they swim, maybe in the beginning even with somewhat decent technique. And then the more tired they get, the more their technique falls apart. And then they swim and swim and swim until they cannot go anymore, and mostly with bad technique. And this is, in my opinion, a very bad approach. Much better to do that kind of stuff with the help of fins or pulling or snorkeling and all that. And then when you actually swim freestyle, I would put it very short. I think when you start out with freestyle swimming, a training session does not need to be longer than maybe 1,500 meters, maybe even only 1,000 for the total beginners. And in the beginning, that's still going to take 20, 30, even 40 minutes because of all the rest you're taking. And and maybe you can do some sprints, maybe the first small aerobic interval sessions with a few 50s or so. But for the most part, I would keep it very short. Focus on learning. Probably in the beginning, very important to invest some money into one-on-one training, video analysis, that kind of stuff. And just to be sure that you're heading in the right direction. I think in the beginning is the time to take some money and make sure that it's learned properly. And then once your technique is stable, so to say, then you're good to go to train. But I think you need to lay a good foundation in the beginning. Okay, but maybe I'm going to do a beginner's course once I'm completely done with my Ironman course. The Ironman course is almost done. I'm probably going to be done this weekend. And then I'm going to focus on the next one. Okay, so 37 minutes. We've been going for quite a long time. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for the questions. Also, the new guys, Guacamole and David, I have not seen so far. Also, Ralph is a name I don't recognize. Thanks for being here for the first time. I appreciate it a lot. If you come again in the future, do not hesitate to ask anything. Even if it's like right now, a beginner's question or something that you may even feel embarrassed to ask, just ask. There's no stupid question. And I will try to answer anything to the best of my abilities. Okay? But for everybody who took part, thank you so much. And until Tuesday. Tuesday, we're going to wrap this up. And then we're going to start with new topics. Okay? All the best. Go train, enjoy your swims, and if you have not done so, sign up for the free week of training on swimazinguniversity.com. All the best. Bye-bye. Take care.